What's up, curious youngsters? If we're always wasting time doing useless things or watching millions of videos, after finishing those weird YouTube recommendations, why not spend a few minutes teaching curiosity learning? 30 totally epic facts that you'll forget in about 10 minutes, but these aren't just any facts, these will leave you completely amazed. For this and much more, here are 30 things you didn't know 5 minutes ago. 1. Nature is amazing and gives us species as striking as this one. This is what the blue rattlesnake looks like, one of the most attractive snakes in the world that lives in Indonesia. And as you might expect, with such radiant colors, it's quite venomous. So if you see it, it's better to take a picture and run away immediately. 2. In the last decade, the population has become much more aware of global warming, and more people are doing something to improve the planet. And for example, this is Boyan Slat, a Croatian guy, 25 years old, who designed a system to clean the sea of plastic. And he managed to raise millions of dollars to fund the project. Good job, Boyan. Birds are highly respected animals because of their incredible shape and also because they have the super ability to fly. And, for example, the condor is so well known in South America that, for instance, Chile declared it the national bird and a natural monument, while Bolivia and Ecuador have it on their flags as a symbol. Patriotic. 4. Most deer and similar species usually have large antlers. But did you know that, for example, a moose can have antlers that are 2 meters wide and weigh more than 30 kilos? Also, another interesting fact about antlers is that a new branch is added every year and it gets renewed. 5. In incredible events of humanity, we come across Steininger, an Austrian man who became known for having the longest beard in the world in the year 1560 with a length of 1.5 meters. And in addition, he became known for dying in the most stupid way, since to escape a fire in his house, he ran out, stepped on his beard, and broke his neck. Better shave, Hanseis. If you don't know what pet you can have, you could think about an Etruscan shrew. It's one of the smallest mammals in the world. It weighs only 3 grams and measures between 5 and 7 centimeters. When they are adults, although joking aside, forget about having wild animals as pets. 7. Although we probably all thought that turtles were covered only by a shell made of a single large piece, we were wrong. Apparently, the shell is made up of more than 50 different bones that are joined together by certain membranes, thus achieving maximum strength. 8. Planet Earth is home to the strangest species we can imagine. And one of the strangest is the jellyfish Turritopsis nutricula, which is widely studied by scientists for being biologically immortal. Oh yeah, let the shocked owl come in, let's go. This happens because when it reaches its adult stage, it is able to return to its juvenile form and repeat its life cycle infinitely. 9. Camels are known for being able to go a long time without drinking water. But we also need to know that when they do drink water, they do it seriously and can drink up to 160 liters of water in a single day. That's completely crazy. 10. In Germany, we find the Roncalli circus, which, unlike many circuses, adapted to modern times and abandoned the mistreatment of animals, replacing them with large holograms and light shows. And although most circuses today don't use animals, there are still some places that continue with this old tradition that should be eliminated completely. Once, in many European countries, bicycles are the main means of transportation. And we can understand that this happens because there is a great infrastructure that allows it. And for example, in Poland, they had the great idea of inventing a bike path, which charges with sunlight during the day and then at night glows to light up the path. 12. In strange animal behaviors, we find the black heron, which imitates the shape of a shelter to create shade. And then the fish think it's a safe place, when in reality it's a trap. It's a trap, Nemo, a trap. 13. Do you remember this meme? Known as Success Kid, it became famous again in 2015, when his father needed funds for a kidney transplant, which cost about $75,000. And thanks to the internet, the kid was able to raise about $90,000 in just 2 days. 14. Art is art, and you don't always have to understand it. What if you don't? We have to look at the pineapple, which was mistaken for a great piece of art by accident, and nobody had noticed. Apparently, in 2017, Riley Gray and his friend entered a museum in Scotland and found an empty table. and they came up with the idea to place pineapple. Yes, the big fruit. The funniest part happened 4 days later when they came back to see it, because they found that it was covered with glass and was being displayed as a work of art. 15. In the 18th century, during the Victorian era, people were afraid of possible vampires and zombies, so it was very common to find cages on top of graves to prevent a possible monster from waking up and coming out to kill us all. 16. We're all aware of the coronavirus. And if there's one thing I'm sure of, it's that you had no idea why it's called that. Apparently, if we look at this virus under a microscope, we're going to find a shape that's very, very similar to the solar corona, which is a large mass of plasma that covers our beloved sun. Let's see if you knew that, my friend Diasizier. A great advertising move by Coca-Cola was inventing a vending machine that dispenses sodas after receiving a hug. A great invention, great advertising. But I don't know if it's very hygienic. Still, a free Coke is still a free Coke. These machines apparently became very popular in schools in Singapore. 18. If you like adrenaline and danger, you might be interested in visiting this natural formation located near San Diego, California. Known as French Fry Rock, this is an extension of a rock that, besides looking like a French fry, seems like it's about to fall at all times. 19. We all love French fries, but did you know that the origin of this delicacy is because the chef got fed up with the customer's orders? Apparently, Chef George Crump had lost his patience with a customer who kept asking for thinner and crispier fries. So, almost unconsciously, he made this dish and everyone ended up loving it. 20. In super strange betrayals around the world, we find that in Finland, every July 27th, they celebrate the Day of the Sleepyhead, where, as the name suggests, each family has to throw into the water the member who woke up. Last, into the water, Johnny 21. In incredibly real news, we find the pilot who shot himself down. Yes, just as you heard, in 1956, during a series of tests with the F-11 Tiger fighter jet. The pilot wanted to test the agility of the plane to escape from an engagement. So he simply fired a burst of bullets forward, then dropped altitude and accelerated. The problem happened there when, due to gravity and speed, the plane was so fast that as the bullets were falling, the plane ended up hitting them, so he had to make an emergency landing. 22. Although it may seem false, in 1967, countries like the United States and at that time the Soviet Union signed a treaty known as the Outer Space Treaty, where it was declared that the moon could only be used for scientific purposes and that no country could place or test nuclear bombs in Earth's or the moon's orbit. 23. If you like the cold and snow, then maybe you'd be interested in moving to Minnesota, United States, where the winters are so extreme that your breakfast can turn into a piece of ice if you don't take good care of it. For example, this is what an egg looks like when you leave it at minus 28 degrees Celsius in your backyard. 24. In 2001, the pizza chain Pizza Hut delivered pizzas in outer space. This big publicity stunt made it the first fast food company to deliver food outside planet Earth, and it cost them more than $1 million. I need my space pizza. 25. In recent years, it seems that humans have few limits when it comes to engineering, and we find a pretty interesting record in Switzerland, where we have the longest tunnel in the world, about 57 kilometers long, which connects Switzerland with Italy, and this tunnel, known as San Gottardo, costs no less than $10 billion. 26. When jellyfish are in the water, they can be a bit intimidating. Even though they don't attack us like a shark, their tentacles can brush against us and cause a strong burning sensation. Okay, and where's the interesting part, sir? Curiosity? Well, it turns out that jellyfish are 98% water. So once they end up on the beach, they're going to evaporate in the sun until there's barely anything left of them. 27. Until the beginning of the 19th century, Australia was known as New Holland, since the explorer Abel Tasman in 1644 had made the greatest discovery of the Big Island and its surroundings. And he was of Dutch origin. 28. In Japan, there was a farming couple who lived peacefully until the wife went blind due to an illness. And faced with such sadness, the man, whose last name was Kuroki, had the great idea to plant 7,000 flowers over 2 years so that his wife could regain her happiness. Oh, how sweet, 29. I'm sure that after watching hundreds of documentaries and photos, it never occurred to you that penguins would have knees. Yeah, apparently these birds have knees in their bodies, although it was to be expected seeing how well they dance. In 30, lizards are very interesting animals that we can find in most countries. And one of the most curious things about them is that when they're in danger, they usually drop part of their tail, since it serves to distract the predator. And also, we don't need to worry because in a few weeks it will grow back completely. Before I go, I wanted to ask you to share the channel and the videos a lot with all your friends, since we're very close to surpassing 50,000 subscribers. Alright, now let me send some shoutouts. First of all, I'm going to send a big shout out to Juan Daniel Woizirpa, and then another shout out to Gimalio Armendaris. I'm also sending a big shout out to Christopher Castro and another shout out to Los Sagas. Then I'm going to send a shout out to Omega Prime TF, another shout out to Lazaro Diaz, and a shout out to all of Cuba, and another shout out to Juan Vargas. I'm also going to send a shout out to Francis Abaze, Ramirez Arguello, another shout out to Santiago Venegas, and another shout out to Alan Cirillo Jimenez, who has been waiting for his shout out for quite some time. Now finally, let me send a greeting to Genis Ponce. Another big welcome shout out to Isla Fran, who is new to the channel. Another shout out to Heroy. And the last shout out goes to the legend Javier Mate Alanes. Now, go ahead and leave your like. Comment anything, really anything you want. Don't forget to share the channel and the video with your friends, so don't think about senior curiosity anymore. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss any new videos. I'm Steininger.